What's up, everybody? How you guys doing? It's been a while. Last week, I had to cancel the show because emergency at work. I had to go work. I had to help some people for real on an event. So sorry, had to do that. Now we're back for another day, another Monday. Wing live stream. Good to have you guys around. Special thanks to Ace and Jack. Hey, what's going on? Hi from Germany. Hello from Canada. Always fun to have you around. Hi to Rolf, a usual suspect of the channel. It's always good to have you around, Rolf. And speaking of Rolf and somebody else also, I had a couple email from you guys this week, and I wanted to check out something. Okay. First, let's do a recap like we always do. Then I'm gonna jump into email. Just gotta close that up. Also, make sure that if you don't want to get disturbed, put concentration mode on your phone. That way you do not get disturbed. Rough 2 week. Had a lot of show, a lot of stuff, a lot of show on X32. Great console, but I'm missing my wing. If you guys still debating if you have an X32, if you want to upgrade, I would say yes, definitely missing my console for those show. But the client has his own X32, and my job is just to be there and run it for him. So I just do my job. I'm gonna mix on whatever you tell me to mix on and do my best with it. What else? Hold on. I'm feeling like I'm too bright today. Not the light, the sound. Had to re-EQ my stuff like I always do. And yeah, basically this is it. Corporate event taking a lot of space now in my life. So I'm doing less and less everyday show. I'm doing more shows with the X32 and complicated thing. But basically, I'm not doing as much as I want with my wing. I would like to take it out a little more. But for now, this is life. People are... Actually, something that I want to ask you. Let me know, guys, why, or if you know why, people not jumping on the wing. It's not a huge problem. Actually, it's not a problem at all, but I see a lot of companies, when I show up with my wing, they go like, oh, wing, yeah, I heard it's good, but never had the time to check it out and use it, basically. So I want to know, why do you think some companies, some AV company, maybe you are a small AV company owner, or you are a company owner, or an employee, head of sound somewhere, and hey, hi to Andy, hi to Tobias, hey, what's up? What's up, guys? What's up? Nice to have you around. Good to see you back. But I want to know, what's your feeling? Why do you think people do not jump on it? Because there is no manual? Really? Manual will be a showstopper for somebody who wants to buy a console? I don't believe that's the reason. But I want to know if you guys have any opinion on that. Tell me while we're doing this live, and I want to debate about that, because I just don't understand why. The offline editor is a reason. Ooh, offline editor. Okay, maybe that's... Well... Okay, depend on how you see it. If you are running with band and you are in an AV company, you just flip the console and do it. If you have the same console every day, you just use it. Like, basically, you just flip it, do a sound check, and call it a day. If it's a one-timer, you just, like, yeah, did it on the spot. Because the wing is not that complex, honestly. Ace and Jack from, like... If you are a professional sound engineer, you're doing this for a living. I'm not talking about the guys in church. You guys in church doing your thing, but most of the time you are just volunteer. You don't run any other console, so you don't have any background of mixing on other stuff. But I mean, if too complicated to handle without a manual, nobody would run on old Midas and Digico. Even if you had a manual for the old Pro 2 This is not the I mean, you need to step on the console and use it. This is why I'm asking, what do you think nobody jump on it? Is it because the X32 is still too good? That's one of my opinion. Everybody still has, maybe not X32s. X32 are, as of September 5, 2022, I will announce that the X32 is slowly on his way out. Most of them are getting beat up. Most of them are having fader that just don't run on you or start to run down on you. You cannot trust all the fader anymore, or they need to be replaced, and some people just don't want to replace them. So I believe the X32s are on the way out. M32s, I only had one with one bad fader so far. Hey, Herman, good to see you, man. So this is why I'm asking. I just don't understand why it's not like catching up more. People, I don't know. Is it because of the SQs? Everybody seems to talk about the SQ now, and people say, "Oh, the SQ is the future." People are running that way. I'm nothing against LN8, but I'm not a huge fan of how these consoles sound. If you give me not the S32, if you give me a DL251 with a wing versus an SQ, I think it's about the same price. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it's the same price, and oh man, I believe it sounds better. What do you guys have to say? Two things. The Behringer name on it, Behringer, I don't know how to say it anymore. Behringer in French. People in people in the country around here don't really speak English really well, so they say Behringer. Up to you guys if you want to say it this way or not. Okay, the Behringer name on it. It's like mud for a lot of company, yeah, but since they released the X32, Behringer is a different brand. Period. So they want to have Behringer. Okay, well, most of the people that I'm speaking with have M32s. Is it because we need to have like the same console again with the Midas badge on it? Is that? I mean, the wing itself, if Midas ever release a version of that, I don't see how they can make it really better other than maybe having a screen, like a one piece of the screen that you can just flip out and replace easier. But the fader are fine. They are close to what you have on an M32, not X. I was about to say X. I thought X. I said M. I believe it's the same quality that we have on the M series. So the knobs feel really good. Turning knobs on the console feel really, really good. I just don't see why. I don't understand. What else do you guys have to say about that? You can't train yourself at home when you have no wing. Copilots only work with the consoles connected. It's not an offline editor. Okay, I get that. For example, I know the Heritage wasn't my okay. Oh, is there an offline editor for the HD96? I didn't know. Okay, Jonathan, I bought two during lockdown, sold one to a really good friend of mine who is AV for a larger, when he says the best mixer for the price. Exactly, this is what I believe. This, to me, the wing is a perfect compromise, or not perfect. It's a really good compromise between touring with something like a Pro 1, Pro 2 from Midas. You have access to the higher preamp if you want to. If you are more on a budget, you can have 3 or actually a lot of like DL32 or S32, and the amount of feature that you get is awesome. For the price, nothing can beat that. Let's say if we had to the mix the SQ and stuff like that, you have to buy your extra plugin that are included in the console. I mean, DSP wise, I would believe they are pretty close, but man, the amount of stuff that you get for the price that you pay for a wing, the size of the console, the in and out, the dente option, that's a lot, man. I just don't. Maybe I get that some people don't want to put the money for that much. I mean, if you still have an M32 kicking around, and if it's still in good shape, you don't want to replace it. M32 is, everybody pretty much knows them. It's fine. It's a fine console that you get. You get fine preamp. You get everything. So who knows? I don't know. This is why I'm asking you. The touchscreen, okay. Maybe. Touch issue was bad. Disable it. Okay. Yeah, the Wing is a great console. I love it too. Okay, Ace Jack, you use the Wing in the studio and have more than 88 physical in. Internal effects processors are great. Yes, they're fine. I mean, they're not full on emulation, but they are a really useful version of those plugin or the way that they work. And you have like 48 time everything, compressor, gate, EQ wise. If you want to use whatever is in there, you got 48 of everything. Imagine just the physical size of having case, like, you know, the Chris Lord Algae studio where he has like a rack of 1176. Imagine having 48 version of everything. That doesn't make any sense, but you got all that in the Wing. And let's face it, most people will at least on an input use a compressor and a gate, a compressor and an EQ, maybe sometimes a gate, but at least a comp and an EQ. If you have option for that. What else? Ralph, too much DAW control for live usage. Not enough IO local on the board. Okay, maybe that's you need a snake. You need a patch box to go with the console. If you are in a studio, you can get away with the 8 preamp plus 8 line in. You bring your 8 preamp of your choice. It's a perfect combination of input to have, like, let's say a pair of Neve preamp kicking around or a pair of API plugin. You put that in the line in of the console. You use a converter, which are really good, but definitely fine for studio. For live, 8 plus 8 line, yeah, it's a little bit rough. You can get away with it. Let's say that you're doing a drum on like 6 or 7 input. You keep 1 for a bass DI or some bass line out, so you can use line out and go straight line into line in. And you use wireless microphone that are line out too. You can get away doing a band with 8 mic pre for your drum, and if you're band using modeler and wireless, you can get away with 16 total, like 8 input of drum, 8 input of bass, guitar processor, wireless, and call it a day. Let's say add a laptop to that for backtrack, and that's pretty much most of the band, what most band use right now. But yeah, I get it. You need a snake. You definitely need a snake. Maybe the feature are not advertised enough. Maybe, Ralph, you're onto something with that. Feature are not advertised enough. But again, the launch process with COVID was so rough from Behringer, and the fact that the factory burned down in China for audio chips. Man, I would not like to be in the Behringer shoes right now, honestly. I drink a sip of coffee to everybody who works at Music Tribe. I know some of you guys watch this show. Guys, you have it rough. You guys are warrior. Don't give up. I really like what you guys doing. And I think most of the people who watch this channel, who watch these video, agreed on that. Thank you very much for your effort. you make the audio world a better place. Okay, Andy, I will take a look at that. 48 channel of DAW recording is huge. Yes, definitely. For a studio. And after that, I need to do a video on that. I think I did it a couple times, but I did not explain it correctly. With the user, what you can do with the in and out in the routing option on the wing with no external card, you can do so much using the processing of the console to do like real-time processing on stuff. Can we talk about that, Andy? Can we? I don't know, Andy, about your post. You guys can read it if you want to, but I don't know if I should talk about that. It's I don't know. Okay, Ace Jack, I want to know, you never use the gate, but transient generator. Why don't you ever use the gate? Or should I say, why don't you use the gate block to do something else? Or expander? I use expander all the time. For those of you who don't know, let's switch into console view for a second. An expander is basically what I have going on in the gate. Like a source extractor, I'm going to do it with the expander gate. When you have a gate that has a ratio, it's not acting like a gate that will cut on your signal. I will try. There you go. I found the sweet spot where the gate is blocking my microphone and it's just totally shutting down on everything. Like it doesn't, and it's gonna get worse if I put the attack longer. It's cutting on your signal. Some people like that on drums for the clicky sound that you can get out of the gate to do your stuff. But if you are using an expander, like what I'm doing right now, an expander is basically a gate but a ratio. It doesn't like cut right away. It gives you a ratio. If you do something like maybe 4:1 is a lot, but 2:1, 1.5:1, you're just reducing noise. Even if I'm not speaking loud, I'm going to go back of the mic and I'm going to speak really quietly. You guys, you don't hear the same sound as I do. As it do with the gate, it doesn't cut. So expander on everything. Drums, most of the time I'm using expander on drums. That way I can get a really dead sounding room or less bleed from those drum into in-ear monitor. So I don't know, up to you. I'm a huge fan of using expander everywhere just for the cleaningness of it, if I should say, or on back vocal. Guys that don't do a lot of vocal backup during the show, they're only gonna sing like for a minute the entire gig. I usually set something like this, so that way the ambient noise doesn't open up the gate or the expander or the mic, but when they get close to the mic and sing, you can hear their back vocal, and after that it's gone. So it's really up to you, but I think the gate and the expander is a useful tool. I recommend a lot of people to use it if you want to. As suggested here by Hedeman, you can use that on the de-esser. That's on the de-esser. I have a lot of background noise, but the de-esser sometimes, if used correctly and not use it all the time. It's a fine tool to use too in the gate block if you are on vocal, but I prefer to use the expander just to cut down on the noise. Or actually, two thing while we're at it in here that I like to use. The Soul Warm is a really cool tool, and the Dynamic Pre that I use mostly on vocal that I use mostly on my lead vocal, because I don't want to put an expander on my lead vocal. I just want to have it full on, because when it's open and closing, it usually changes the feeling. But the Dynamic EQ is really good. Wave Designer, I never fully understand it. I tried it. I just don't know. It doesn't feel good in my workflow. If it finds for you, go ahead and use it, my friend. But to me, I don't know. It's a bit weird. Yes, Dynamic EQ can be used on the gate slot. That way you can do like I do and cut down on the mid range of the guitar. Yeah, sorry, I said it backward. I'm using the Dynamic EQ on my guitar, and I trigger it using keychain for my lead vocal. So that way when my lead vocal is singing, it's turning down the mid range on the guitar, which is usually hard to mix in a PA, especially if you have a bad PA. So that's about it. Sorry, I'm reading the chat, guys. I suggest, what is the DN4816? Is it the input block stage connect? I think it is. Music Tribe people from UK are great. Well, all the Music Tribe people are great. If you're in the UK, you're apparently better. Just kidding, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody at Music Tribe, for doing what you do. Really, really, really fun what you guys come up with. You guys are good. Keep it going. Okay, so it's a 16 input. Great, got it. Oh, Andy. Okay, yeah, one day is gonna come for sure. If you guys read that in the chat, stick around. A lot of stuff are coming in. I'm hearing echo from around me of cool stuff coming in. Stick around for the next firmware update. You guys will probably be happy. What else? It's gonna be ready when it's ready. Definitely. I don't want people to. That's the thing. People want everything now, but don't rush anything when it comes to firmware updates, especially on things that are doing live event like this. You definitely don't want to have something that is not fully cooked. Let the cook do his thing, and just let it be. It will, when it's ready, it will be ready. It's like, for everybody in the States who will know this reference, it's like when you do barbecue. It's a long process. Let it run. Slow cooked meat is the best, but it has to be slow cooked. Otherwise, it just burns, and it's not good. Okay, so the percussion stuff with the Wave Designer, I'll take a look at that. Oh, that's true. Okay, let's still give out some flower to Music Tribe. Yes, the amount of stuff. Okay, let me read the full comment. Music Tribe has a great update politics. Never seen a company who do so much update for free, and keep that in mind that they're doing their update for free. Not a lot of company do. Yeah, most of the time they're paid. Nowadays, monthly subscription are the worst thing ever it pissed me off. The number of like paid subscription that I need to have now. I recently had to jump in on Apple paid subscription because I needed space on my phone. It's freaking me out. No, please stop the monthly subscription thing. When I'm buying a device, I want to get all the hardware that I drop money on a table for. Please give it to me. After that, if I have to pay per month to still use it like the Tesla is doing, it's driving me crazy. Like the people who pay for Pro Tools per month, like, why can't you buy the freaking software? Like, I don't want to pay a monthly fee to use it. It's ridiculous. Okay. Yeah. Honestly, this is why I'm doing all my video and stuff on Apple. Some people will say, oh, you can use stuff like DaVinci Resolve for free, but it's not monthly payment for plugin. Why? I don't get it. Same thing as people on Windows use Adobe Audition or Adobe, not Adobe Audition, but the everything Adobe, the Premiere Suite, the After Effects, that you have to pay per month for that thing. When I jump on the Apple wagon, I bought my Final Cut, which is the video editing software. I bought Apple Motion, which is all the drop-down menu that I have, like when you guys see in the beginning, to do all that stuff. Final Cut cost me $300. Apple Motion was $80, and I bought also at the same time Logic, so it cost me like $600, and I own those software for life. They are linked to my Apple ID. I get the update for free. As long as it works, I'm the happiest guy in the world. It worked with my computer every time. It's never going to update to a version that is not compatible with my system anymore. Good. Okay. Herman, it's not free. We're all beta testers. Well, actually, welcome to 2022. Every single company, I'm not a lot into game, but a lot of stuff is just every computer program that you get, you're the beta tester. They send it out into the wild, and they ask you if you want to do an upgrade later on because they fixed things that was not ready when they released the software. So we're all beta tester on every point. But the thing is, now that we have software stuff, we can update it. Back in the day, it's funny because I had a conversation with one of the artists that I have that I'm working for. Always bring his kid, and the kid is 18, and he never seen an analog console in his life. Even if his father have been doing music for like 20-something year, the kid is 18. So the time that he grew up, saw sound console, sound mixer, he never saw a analog board. And I was talking to him about analog console versus digital, and he said, well, I believe the analog was better. I said, well, try to do a firmware update on an analog console. You cannot create new knobs. You cannot add plugin. So, yeah. Oh, Andy, not Andy. Asa Jack, you started on SSL 4000. Well, lucky you. I never put my hand on one of these consoles. I've done H3000 a couple times. I've done Soundcraft, whatever, Series 5, Series 4, Series whatever. But lucky you, I never use these console. I put my hand on some really cool studio gear, Neve preamp, API preamp. I used to own a couple of these. But yeah, no, I never had the chance to put my hand on a 4000, and probably never will. And it's fine. Yeah, basically Andy is saying the same thing as I do. We're all beta tester. I don't get it, Josh. Why people aren't jumping on it? I don't know. I know I did. I did in the worst time ever. I'm really good to do really good purchase decision at a bad time. I bought my wing in February of 2019, just before, well, we all know what happened. And I needed a graphics card earlier this year when the price were skyrocketing. I paid way too much for a graphics card. Really good purchase. Really bad timing for the price. It's fine. Live and learn. Maybe not. Andy, my first was a Pro 40. Ooh. The original desk. I need to know. Okay, a studio around here in Montreal called the Base Bin has an old Midas, and I don't remember what the name of that console was. It was one of the first industrial build Midas, and it has a parametric EQ that has a slider in the center section. I don't know if it's a Pro 40 or anything. I saw it once because I'm not really a studio guy. The owner of the place gave me a tour of, here's the studio, if you want to ever book whatever. And I'm like, okay, sure. I'm not a studio engineer, so maybe not. But he showed me the Pro 40. It's not a Pro 40. He showed me a console that I don't remember what it is. Maybe like one of the first Midas ever made. I don't know. It used to tour with a band, something like the Dire Straits or whatever. Who knows? Let's see what the MT DAW will bring. Do we have a Music Tribe DAW coming? I don't know. Well, a DAW, with the amount of offering in DAW that we have right now, I don't know what's going to happen with that. If they can beat Logic for the feature and the price, probably Music Tribe or Behringer have a lot of stuff coming in. I don't know, but it needs to beat Logic to me, because the amount of included stuff that you have in Logic, and the fact that it can just take a session or a MIDI session, it's free. Okay, well, free is good. But if they can have the plugin and the amount of virtual instrument in there that is better than Logic, sure. Federico, hey, what's up? It's been a while. I think I've seen you before here. It's been a while. What is your opinion on the most killer feature that an update could bring to the wing? Most killer feature that an update could bring? Well, the show control will be good. I don't feel like I'm missing much on the wing, to be honest. I like the new plugin, like everybody else. But for a rock and roll guy like I am, doing front of house and in-ear monitor like a couple times a week, I got something to work with here. New plugin, always fun. New amount of, I don't know. Okay, the RTA thing is missing. I would like to use like a built-in smart, if possible. Like you can almost fake it on the X32. I would like to have that feature on the wing. I know it's not there yet, but I would like to have that. Like a page where it's almost dedicated to do like smart. You can take an input and say, I want to use this as a smart, and you select your output, let's say monitor, because I'm doing monitor mostly, and I would like to smart my monitor. Set up my monitor, create a smart, and okay, there you go. Better than that. when you use a mic, I'm throwing out ID here. When you use a mic, you can tell an input, tell an output, place your microphone, and you can do an impulse response correction like people doing with guitar cabinet impulse response or reverb impulse response. You can take an impulse response and use that as an EQ curve for your monitor. No EQ, no 31 band needed. You have something crazy like 100 band EQ that will do like those old DBX wizard thing. Do the same thing that is up to date, that is working. You take a measurement microphone, a real measurement microphone, you put it 5 feet away or 6 feet away from your monitor, right in front where let's say you take your lead vocal and you replace the mic with a measurement mic that you point at the speaker around roughly the same area. You take a measurement there and it will correct with 100 band EQ like an impulse response correction for that monitor, and your monitor became instantly flat. After that, you can EQ some feedback out because sometimes you will have some EQ to do, but doing this process, it come out flat, and it take into consideration the room because you're doing smart, so it can do a pink noise, do a tone sweep, do that stuff, and it give you a full on flat correction of your speaker in that position. I know I can do it if you give me the right tool. Like if you give me something like an XFX from Fractal Audio and you just use a pink noise as a reference and you send out the pink noise and you match it. Like it's basically a tone match for those of you who have a guitar processor like Kemper and everything. If you could tone match a pink noise into a speaker like that, that will work. That's a feature that I would like to have. After that, I can just do some quick EQ, but yeah, sure. Definitely would like to see that. Who knows? Jonathan, I used the wing on Sunday and my mind went blank on how to rename the DCA. Oh, really good one. Let's take a look at it just for myself. I need to remind me how to do it. So, I'm gonna go view here in the center and I'm gonna select DCA here and I'm gonna come here at name, and that's pretty much it. This is how you rename DCA. From the top of my mind, like doing it right now with the console in front of me, I can see it. Using the arrow, I can scroll and probably select on the console, and if I'm on that page, it will select the DCA. But yeah, it's been a long time since I did that because this is the kind of thing that I'm doing like once when I'm building a show file for a band, and after that, whatever. I'm not renaming DCA all the time. Okay, moving on. ATD mixing console with the elliptic A. Oh, never seen that. Ace of Jack, sorry. I can't post in the comments, but this is a German organization. All my stuff from the 60s up to date. Well, can you write down the website for that, Andy? Would be really nice. Yeah, Federico, I think it will be a nice feature to have, and like you said, actually not too difficult to implement. Maybe you would have to use it as an insert, like you insert a speaker manager. You insert that a monitor corrector, or name it how you want. Have that as in full impulse response, like 100 band graphic EQ or parametric EQ. I don't know, graphic EQ. and you can just like start flat. After that, you cut down like a feedback or two, because even on a flat speaker, a 58 at some point, if you give it volume, will feedback at some frequency. So if you can have on a bus and insert that thing, go into that page or that effects rack, do like the test or the whatever, get it really flat, take a snapshot of that and use it. Yeah. It's a lot of thing, but it doesn't seem that complex, and that DSP requirement linked to that is not too heavy for the wing, I believe. I'm no expert into that. People from Music Tribe will have to answer this one, but hey, lovely people from Music Tribe, if you're watching this, that's a feature that me and Federico would like to have. Luis, what's up? Is it possible to sync with MIDI or GPIO from Eurorack? Like sync, but delay and stuff. I believe it's not possible at the moment. I don't know if it will ever be from MIDI. I know the console is speaking OSC. Maybe that's the future. Maybe we're gonna evolve that, but yeah, maybe in the future we'll have some kind of way to sync that, but this is something that I would like to have. Oh, there you go. Another feature that I would like to update is tap tempo from click track. If we could set a kind of like a gate that is triggered by the MIDI click, not MIDI, audio click of a device, like, or a snare. Most of the time I use my tap tempo on the same tap as a snare. If I could have a feature that average my click track, let's say I have a line here of, let's do an example for real. Let's say that I have a track here, this is my click track, and I can put in the gate block, I'm on aux, so that doesn't work. I can put in the gate block, just gonna use this one, something like a gate, that every time that my volume is like, that my gate is opening fully, it goes like click, click, click. If that after 4 times could tap the tempo, because most of the band's song that I'm working with have 8 bar of click track. If that could set my delay time, my reverb time, to be coherent with the song, like a small delay, a long delay, a reverb, and a longer reverb, small reverb, long reverb, if that could change by just having something that is a global tap that is triggered by a gate or by an input level. So as soon as it, open up the gate, it calculates the amount of time that the gate needs in between the opening, like click, click, click. I'm pretty sure some UI can understand that and create a automatic global tap tempo that will change your reverb and delay time. I don't know how hard it is to do. I know absolutely zero about programming that kind of stuff, but I believe it's doable. Another feature that we would like to have on the wing. And actually that would fix all the problem for the MIDI sync and everything, because at some point you will have a device that you can use as an audio input for basically clocking that stuff. And maybe if you are using analog synth, you don't want to have like from MIDI clock, you probably want to have from audio clock, and it's probably going to be more organic. Like if you have a band that is playing not to a click track, and say that you set your automatic tempo like to a snare, it will move with the speed of the song, Who knows? Jonathan, I went home and laughed at myself because now I've got used to using the X32 more than the wing, which annoyed myself. Oh, trust me, I'm doing 2 to 3 gigs a week now on an X32, and I wonder why I have this sitting in my basement while I'm on tour, small tour, using an X32. The answer is because the band bought it and they don't want to rent mine. But yeah, basically, I feel you, my friend. The view button is a combination with the touchscreen. Is the answer to most question. No matter what it is. And there you go. Just press view button, home, or select the channel. Press view button or home. That's gonna give you like 75% of the stuff. Hey, so Jack, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your time and your contribution to this live stream. Really appreciate every time that you're here, man. Have a good one. See you next week or really soon. The Wing has the possibility to become a 96 channel mixer. 48 channel 96 source. Up to 96 source. Because the number of channels stripped per left side button is this something Behringer would want to upgrade at some point? Okay, hold on. What do you mean? Because you can do... yeah, with the user and stuff, you could have some extra layer, but I don't see it that way, and I don't think Behringer will ever add more channel to the console. 48 channel, some of them could be mono or stereo, is already a lot. Seriously. Like, on a typical console, like we're just going back one generation away, this is the equivalent of a 64 channel console, pretty much. Even if we have only 48 fader or channel, stereo channel, it's hard to count. But when you think about all the stereo input that you have now, like all the guitar processor, most of the guitar now are stereo, drum overhead, everything and everywhere that you can cheat on console like this. Like, even let's say that you really want to go deep and you have a drummer that has two floor toms, that could be, you know, a single stereo channel of these two, and you roughly EQ'd the same, you compromise and EQ them the same. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, man. You can jam a lot of physical input up to 96, but let's face it, nobody's never ever gonna go that far. But man, the amount of feature that you have and the amount of channel that you have, I don't think they will ever like go over this for this price point. Because let's face it, Music Tribe people are really brilliant and intelligent people. They will not compromise another product of their lineup with something cheaper. Hear me out. I have absolutely no idea what I'm talking now, but Midas only really produce one or two console right now. It's the HD96, and maybe in the future they will have the Air to replace the lower end of the console, or maybe they will have a version of the Wing that will, you know, replace the Pro 1, 2, and maybe Pro 3, but mostly Pro 1 and Pro 2, because those consoles are now out of production. They're still maintained. They still have probably firmware update, and you can have parts for them, but something closer to the Wing or closer to the HD96 Air is the future of that line. Once the Pro 2 and Pro 1 is going to die, something has to replace them for them to cover the whole spectrum of audio gear. They have that Pro X, XL8. Something that probably replaced the Pro X is probably the HD96. You guys can probably tell me if I'm wrong here, but I believe it has the same amount of input and feature. So you basically buy into that part of the spectrum. So they need to have something lower, but they will not release under two things that do the same thing. So if you want to have up to 96 input on a Behringer, they don't want to compete with the lower end of Midas, because this is the flagship from Behringer. This is the highest tier console they ever had. You compare it to something that is lower tier Midas. Right now, the M32 is still in production. Let's say that we add a Pro 2 just for fun. Wing and Pro 2 are kind of like the same thing. Not the same thing, but gig-wise, I would probably choose a Pro 2 between a Wing, but just the fact that I'm asking the question, should I buy a Pro 2 or a Wing? If I'm a production and I need to have, like I'm on a budget and I want to have as many feature and input as a Pro 2, but I just want to spend $4,000 buying this. They compete against themselves, and they should not. And they are really aware and probably never want to compete against themselves or as less as possible. So, man, seriously, I doubt that Behringer will ever had more channel. Just the fact that we can do, like, think about it. If you really spec out like a band that has like 56 mic on stage, you can do it with the Wing, pretty much. Like if you have like stereo stuff, a couple stereo input, and the Wing goes from 48 to 56, if not really fast 64. Like you can do a piano on a stereo input. You can do a keyboard on a stereo input really easily. Many keyboard, many stuff. So it's going really high on the spectrum of feature really fast. So no, yeah, I see where you're coming from with that, but no. It would only mean adding the 48 channel count to the source. Yeah, but again, like I said, no. But yeah, the price point. Don't say thank you to answering your question. This is why we're here, man. We're having a good time together, answering question about gear. We're all gear passionate. We're all Wing driven, and this is why we're here. We all have a good time together, right? Speaking of, if you have a good time or not, press the like or unlike button on this video. This is now the part where I go all out and tell you also about the member. If you guys want to support me and do like, we have a couple member today. We have Tobias, we have Herman that is here. Guys, please, if you want to support me in what I do and want to become a member, support the channel just for a few bucks a month, it makes the whole difference. It's what keeps me going. Not the money, but the fact that I know you guys support me. And if you need support, if you need help, and you want to support me, like too, you can become a super member. And if you want to become a super member, with every month of your subscription, I give you 1 hour of my time on a one-on-one video conference. So if you need help, if you want to debate about something, if you just want to hang out, pretty much, we can book sometimes. It's your due if you subscribe as a super member of the channel. I really appreciate every single person who ever did. Thank you very much. Thank you. If you just want to support me with a couple bucks, the other tier is just fine. You have access to a beautiful icon next to your name in the chat, and you will also you can also have a special icon of my face, you know, my logo, my channel logo. You can have a little icon in the chat of that if you want to use it. I'm probably I should definitely do some more. Like we should add a couple emoji in here. Jonathan, going to sign up now. Well, thank you very much, my friend. Feel free to choose the tier that you want. Anybody else that wanna support me, welcome. Let's face it, I'll take all the support that I can, because I just don't know what's going on with that YouTube thing. So I know I'm gonna keep going for a while, but I just don't know where I'm gonna end up in the next year or so. Who knows? I'm getting more and more subscriber every day. Thank you very much if you recently subscribed. And we now have a super member, Jonathan. Hey, Jonathan. Dude, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Thank you. Now, if you want to have one-on-one time with me, send me an email. I know that you're a super member, and we can spend an hour together enjoying a coffee, talk about Wing, whatever help that you need or opinion that you want to have. Oh, you wanted to do it, but just keep forgetting. I know. I'm struggling to go through all my days too, so all good, man. From Mato, greeting from Nigeria. Hey, greeting from Canada. Welcome to the channel, my friend. I think you've been around. Maybe not. I see a lot of people now. You guys are more and more to jumping on these live stream, and it's keep on changing. I know some old timer are here, like Rolf, who is almost here every live stream. Thank you very much. But I have some newcomer, like, I don't know who, Joshu, you've not been around for that long, or a long time, but not recently, or not new. Like, I think Louis or Louis Moisa, if you're French. You guys are new. Yes, following every time. Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. If you have any question, the floor is yours. Feel free to ask me. Feel free to ask me anything, guys. We're here to have fun. It's been almost an hour now, so I did my like and join as a member thing. Now the stream can keep moving. You guys just have to feed me something because, again, like I always say, it's really hard to keep on talking for an hour like that. Oh, you're from Kenya. Never been in that part of the world, my friend. It's really, really far from where I am in the cold of Canada. Oh, thank you very much. If your friend wants to follow and subscribe, really appreciate that. Thank you very much. I should get a coffee mug that says I love Nigeria or Kenya, right? Because New York, a lot of people from New York, but I should change that from time to time. I should change coffee mug from time to time and get another one that says I like stuff, weird stuff. Saguenay. Oh, Saguenay. A homie from not that far away from me. Monsieur Louis Moisin. Merci d'être à l'écoute. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Now, okay, start me out with something, guys, because, again, this is your show. This is not mine. We're here to talk about you. We're here to talk about the console. We can conceptualize about anything sound-related. If you guys want to talk about something, the floor is yours. We're all sound geek here and try to have fun. I'm gonna go out and say this in English, Louis, or Louis, should I say? Have we ever met? Because I've been recently around Saguenay. I've been there a couple times this summer, actually 2. So, have we ever met? It's weird to see some people from around here. So, if you guys are watching the channel and you ever see me on a show or whatever, where I'm traveling, Quebec, Ontario, I'm going to New Brunswick next week. So if you guys ever see me and know about the channel, let me know. I've met the other day at on a festival, somebody who was like out of nowhere said, I really like your channel. After like a couple hours we've been together, and I was like, oh man, you should have told me. I'm so honored when people say that they see me on YouTube and I help them with something. So please don't be afraid if you see me on the street. If you're from Quebec and you see me on the street, or see me on vacation in the States this winter or anything, feel free to come out and say hi. I'm more than happy to talk with you guys. Okay, coffee is done. Do we have any more question after an hour? Because if not, guys, just for a key, just to keep this live stream entertaining for people who watch and playback. Thank you very much to the people who watch and playback. If it's not interesting anymore and if we slow down, it's fine. We're just gonna call it a day because I don't want to have like stuff going on too long, and I have a lot on my plate for the next hour to answer email and everything. Before that, I'm gonna forget about something that my friend Neve, who is a super member of the channel, he's been a channel member for a long time, and he asked me a question over email. So I'm going to read this question over email, and after that, if you guys didn't keep up in the chat, we'll call it a day. I would like to ask for a special video. So maybe I will do that. Although it's not wing specific, but you still may need the wing for it or to show how to do it. So, okay. Really interesting question. How do you avoid feedback? Let me read on this full email. From the very early step of prepping the stage with the monitor through the sound check, what do you do? It's really a really complex setup. A few more lines and we'll be done with this. I also see from time to time on large venue like arena and stuff like that, singer that goes in front of the PA with no feedback. How do they do that? Okay, two things. I'm gonna go back to what I spoke about a couple weeks ago with the Shania Twain show. I don't know if you guys recall what I said, or I don't remember what I said to you guys and spoke to Fran after that. Shania Twain, the live show, was her singing live into something that was autotune, that was also doubled and tripled and quadrupled with backing tracks. I remember during the first song that she went out on the catwalk, because Shania did almost like 75% of the show out on the catwalk in front of the PA, about 100 feet away from the stage, and really like in front of the PA. The sound engineer, that sounded really good, by the way. If you ever see this one day, know that I was there and I had a good time. It sounded really good, really even, really like dead on, and not aggressive at all like all the other band that I saw that day. He did a great job of that. What he did basically is just EQ'd out what was feeding back. Because when Shania came out of the stage, she did the first song fully on the stage in the back with the dancer and everything. She did her thing, walked to the catwalk, and something like 4K started ringing. He cut 4K down in her microphone and find a spot where it was stable enough and kept on like that. And the vocal was not optimal, but in front of the PA, he had to sacrifice one or two frequencies on the mic, cut them down, and call it a day. And because all the backtrack and everything and the auto-tune, it sounded really good. The backtrack were really helping, because if I heard everything correctly, I believe all the vocal live are a real vocal, auto-tune in the center, another layer of vocal in the center, and a left and a right harmony or quadruple of the lead vocal. So it sounds massive. But the real vocal was a little dulled down. If I were to do the same thing like on a console, he probably, like, once the show started, he probably went on and did something like this around the 3-4K area. And I know this is not on my lead vocal, so I'm gonna go with an example that makes sense. So he probably did something like this, and this is how the vocal sounded. He muffed it out a little bit. From what I hear in my headphone right now, this is how the real vocal sounded, and it's fine. With all the backtrack and everything, it was fine. So that's one thing. It's not ideal. This is not what I would have done to avoid feedback on the venue, but basically, yes, two at the same time. Hold on. I'm hearing a lot of 2K here. Let me expand on that a little bit. When you have really good sounding sound system, and you analyze it, you correct it with corrective EQ, most of the time, a really loud microphone in front of that PA will not feedback. And also something to consider. Usually the singer that do arena in huge place like that have a really loud voice, which means that you can turn the gain down. And the less gain that you have, the less amplification, because preamplifier are basically amplifier for microphone. The less preamp gain that you give on a vocal will pick up less noise because you need to have less amplification of the microphone, the voice that you try to, or the instrument that you try to get through that microphone versus the background noise. The background noise is the sound of the room, the sound of the PA that you hear, the sound of the monitor. So the louder your singer is, the less gain that you need to have to get a good volume going, the easier it is to get no feedback. If you have singers that are not loud, that are not confident to give you out note and push it, usually they become harder to mix, to get a good amount of volume, good amount of presence of vocal without feedback. But the fact that most of the sound system are flat, are really well EQ'd, meaning if you take a pink noise into it, a pink noise is basically all the frequencies going at the same time. It's like, imagine a tone. You guys know what a tone sound like, you know, that boop, but imagine that at all the frequencies at the same time, it give you a pink noise or a white noise, depending on the school of thought that you want to go. But most of the time you're using pink noise as a reference, so I'll go with pink noise here. If you take a pink noise and set it into that PA, all the frequencies are equal. Once you get there, it's really hard or harder to get feedback. And when I say all frequencies are equal, I mean versus the reference source. Let's say, do I have a pink noise here? I can probably get a pink noise. How? Let me get a oscillator. I think this is a pink noise. Is it? No, that's okay. That's not the rain, that's a pink noise. You guys can see that we have on the RTA here some frequencies going, basically all of them. I'm just gonna try to go into my RTA, and I just want to go average. Just gonna change a couple setting in the RTA here. Color, it's fine. Size, a quarter, it's fine. Just where's the time? Where's the time feature of that? Do we have time feature? Okay, now it's slower. I don't know what I did, but I changed it to something slower. If you take a pink noise as a reference, like what we have going on right now, all the frequencies pretty much are flat, meaning I'm just gonna turn it down, meaning that if you send that into a PA, you should hear all the frequencies equal. Especially once you reach over 200 here, it's really, really, really flat. In the subwoofer, usually it forgives a little more. What's gonna feedback most of the time is higher frequencies. If you can send a PA, if you can send a pink noise into a PA, a monitor or whatever, analyze it with a analyzer microphone like the MM1 from Behringer Dynamic that I have, and you can get versus the reference when you put them one in front of the other EQ wise. If you can get your PA to be flat, it's going to sound the best it could because it's representing all the frequencies that you sent into it at the same level. Doing the same thing with monitor or as a basic. This is really looping. We're going full on circle with what we spoke before with the RTA. If you can get that as a reference and EQ the 1 or 2 frequencies that will feedback from the color of the microphone that you have, let's say like a SM58. SM58 usually have an EQ curve that looks something like this. I'm just gonna turn it on. SM58 has color, like when you look at the spec sheet of that microphone, it's gonna have something maybe closer to 300 and around 2.5K. So maybe something like that, a couple dBs. And that Q is too wide. So an SM58 has that color. If you have a speaker, let's talk about monitor just for fun here. I'm talking about floor monitor, not studio monitor. If we're talking about floor monitor, and you analyze it, you smart it, you use a paint noise to make it flat, so it's reflecting all the frequencies that you send into it and reproducing those frequencies totally flat. And you, after that, speak into that microphone, speak into that monitor with a microphone, SM58. If you know the correction that you need to have on your SM58, something like that, it should sound exactly like the voice of the person. The voice of the person speaking into that microphone should be reproduced exactly. This is in a perfect environment with no interference at all. I'm talking about like sound interference, not radio frequencies. But in the perfect world, in the perfect environment, if you're doing this, you can go really, really loud into a monitor, floor monitor, or a PA without having feedback, because all the frequencies will be reproduced equally. You will get the sound that you want out of these, and not one, because feedback is basically one frequency in the spectrum that is louder than everything else. So if you cut that frequency, you can make it like, if you can make it louder without having feedback, because you cut the frequency that was feeding back. It's a really complex. I will do a video about that. All that to say, I will do a video about that, and eventually, when I have time, I will try to do one where I show how to EQ a PA. I need to do that. I will do a video where I'm EQing out a monitor with a 58. I know a lot of you guys have request me that, how to EQ monitor, how to avoid feedback. I will have a video on that covering that whole thing, but I just wanted to cover what Neve said. Okay, let's go with another one from the chat, and after that I have an email from Rolf that I want to cover. When inserting a 31 band EQ on the main left-right, I get some type of artifact in the sound. You may have mentioned this in the past. Is there any workaround? Yes, we took a look at that. The issue was the 32 second sample, 32 sample of latency that were introduced that created this thing, but I don't know what's a workaround for that. My workaround would be, do not use a 31 band EQ. You absolutely don't need it. You have a full on 8 band full parametric EQ on your main. Like, I'm gonna come out here and say, take my main out and go into the setting here, change my EQ for 2 more parametric. You have 8 full on parametric on your main out. Add that to the fact that you can send out your main into a matrix and have 8 more there. If you need more than 16 full on parametric to correct your PA, there's probably another thing that you should do before using all these frequencies. My opinion. But I would just not use them. If they cause problem, don't use them. Use something else. You don't need to have a 31 band EQ on everything. I never use 31 band EQ. Even when I'm doing monitor, I use on the X32 just the 6 band full parametric on the output. I'm sorry, that's the workaround. The workaround is not use them and call it a day. But if I inform people of that issue, I've informed people at Music Tribe of that issue. I don't know. They took a look at it. I don't know what the result of that is, but we talked about that in a couple weeks ago in the live. So good luck finding that in the few hour of live stream that I have. But if you want to take a look at that, just go through a couple of the live stream that I did, and maybe you will find your answer there, because I've talked about it and then get an answer, reply to that a couple weeks ago. This is where we're at now. Sorry. Okay, let's go on with Rolf, who had a question. Thank you, Neve, for the last one. Now, Rolf, you had a really good one, man. And I wanted to answer that into a live stream because you always have some good idea. You had a question about output gear. Let's go. Maybe you can answer this question on an upcoming video or a live. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to answer that into a live. When people talk about quality of mixing gear, most of the time they talk about quality of input or preamp, also the speed of the clock, speed of the analog to digital converter. Could be 44.1, 48, or 96 kilohertz, which is what we have most of the time. My question is, what are the criteria to rate the quality of the output? It's output conversion. I'm going to read a little more, and we're going to get on the subject. Are the Midas Pro output better than the Midas Design output? If so, what is the difference? Could you hear any difference between the MR18, the X32, the M32, the Wing, the DL, whatever, Blue Box, or Stage Connect output? Is it worth to spend extra money for better output equipment? This is an awesome question. We always talk about quality of input, quality of rendering, should I say? Quality of converter input, but output conversion is not a subject that many people talk about. Let's dive into this a little bit. Most people don't look at output conversion because they are the less significant part of your signal. If you have a really good sounding mix that you send into a okay output converter, it's going to sound good. If you have bad input that you send into a bad output, well, garbage in, garbage out. Sorry, guys. The reason a lot of people do not talk about quality of output is because they are how to measure. You can measure the color of a preamp, but it's really hard to measure the color of a output. They should all be flat. They should all reproduce what you have coming in the console, processed, and send that out. As an example, I spoke about the Midas output design at the main out, the fact that they time align everything so that the time of processing of every single input is compensated to the output, and that's creating a big difference. But the quality of the converter in this case is not. People do not include the quality of the converter when it comes to this kind of thing. I don't know. This is a really good question that you have. I don't know if the output converter of the Blue Box is better than the cheapest MR18 available. Not the MR, the XR18 available. It probably is. The only way I could measure that is, again, we were talking about pink noise earlier on. I would need to send a pink noise, a really precise level of pink noise, out of one device from the USB, because it's bypassing all the quality of input, and send it out at the same sample rate out of the Wing, out of a DL stage box, and measure if it's the same thing or not. is the output having a color or not? After that, take the same DL251, clock it at 48K with a wing, clock it at 96 with a Pro 2 or whatever, and sending out the same signal again, and try to cancel it or try to measure it in some kind of way. Because, you know, null test, when you take a pink noise, send it into device and send it again, but flip the phase on it. If you reverse it, you only hear the difference between those two devices. This is something I will do because, okay, hold on. I bought something. I want to talk about it. Hold on. I bought myself a present. I bought myself a JDI stereo DI. Oh, not like that. There we go. I bought myself a stereo JDI. Why stereo? Because it's 2 DI in the size of 1. It's exactly the same size as the regular JDI, but I wanted to have 2. So instead of bringing 2 DIs, I'm bringing this one stereo. Usually, for some reason, JDI sound really good. I want to do an A/B test between itself, between his left and right, a null test, and I want to do a test versus the cheapest Behringer. Do I have one here? Okay, hold on. I want to do a null test versus the stereo DI and the cheapest Ultra JDI box that I have. I want to know if spending $500 on this or spending $5 in a garage sale on this is worth the difference or not with the quality of signal that you get out of these. For some reason, every time I'm using a JDI, it sounds better to me. I don't know why. I don't understand. I believe it's the transformer in there, but I want to know. I want to know if I spend $500 on this. It's done. It's case closed. I got it. I need to do some A/B testing, and I think that's part of the signal. Having transformer as part of your signal chain will change the end result. I just want to measure it and see also if the difference in money is worth it or not. And I want to know if the difference in money is worth it or not for you. Are you good enough with Behringer stereo DI that costs $20-$30? I think you are. If you are mixing with, you know, a Pro 2 or Digico, whatever, good console into INPA, will you hear a difference between these two? A pink noise test will tell us the answer. We need to know. I want to find out how and why and how it affects the sound of the output of your device. Like why sending something through this DI versus the cheapest one is not the same thing. The end result's not the same. Even if it work, I want to know the difference. And also I want to know versus a single output jack. Let's say I plug a guitar straight into the console. How does it sound? Versus how does it sound going into a DI, and versus how does it sound going into a cheap DI? I will probably use a lot of 1/4 inch and true output to figure that out, but it's a video coming, I hope soon, that you guys will be able to see. On that note, it's been an hour and 23 minutes since we started this live stream. I'm gonna call it a day. I think I've annoyed you enough for today, for this week. Guys, I will see you next week. Pretty sure. Gonna look at my schedule, but I'm pretty sure I can make it. And I will try from now to make it every Monday. Until the next one, I want you please to take care of yourself. And I see you all very soon. See ya.